Hi, and welcome to the show. Today we're going to be speaking with Anne Villavieja. She runs Virtual Office Angels, and she's the founder and director of the company, specializing in provisioning of pre-selected, highly skilled, and professional virtual assistants from the Philippines. And, you know, when I heard that we're going to do this interview, I had a question I had to ask Anne, because it's happened to people I know, and that is, you start with a virtual assistant and you develop that relationship with that virtual assistant. You're one-on-one, they're doing work for you, and then all of a sudden something goes a little strange in the project and they disappear. And we don't understand what happened or how that possibly happened. And maybe you could give our audience a little bit of insight as to, you know, what happens in that scenario and how maybe virtual office assistants could help.
Okay. Sorry, two things here. Coming from the Philippines, like perhaps has given me a small edge in trying to understand this one. It's a cultural thing to start with. Let's go back. Let's go back in the past. The Philippines have been a colony of Spain for 300 years. Having said that, we're more or less passive. Put it that way. So it's always, when I was growing up, it's more or less like, you know, like go in the corner and stay there if you've done something wrong. It's a punishment thing. So we grew up that way, culturally as well. So when we do something wrong, we're supposed to just shut up in the corner. Having worked in HR for the past 20 years, and having actually lived in Sydney now for the past 20 years as well, this is what I've learned. There is such a thing as a passive, aggressive thing, but which most Asians, I think 90% of Asians operate that way. It's a passive, aggressive thing. They either get really, really super angry or they just shut up in the corner. It's losing face, they call it in Japan. However, what I've actually learned in Australia, or like having lived in Sydney now for the past 20 years, is there is such a thing as assertive, which we guys probably, I mean, we literally do not know, or you guys actually are not even aware of it. At an early age, you were actually like taught how to, you know, like to speak up for yourself, but we were not. So those are the very, very minor things, but it actually really affects performance-wise of virtual assistants, because should you actually have some very even minor miscommunication or disagreements in there, your virtual assistant has a tendency just to shut up and go in the corner. And how do they do that if you're working online? Just disappear out of thin air. And that's a tricky one. How would you manage that?
Absolutely. And you know, you know, that's something that we all need to learn as a Western society when we're working with the East. And you know what? I'd love to have you again in the show. Let's do a long format interview that people can register and watch and get more information about the ins and outs of the cultural thing, as well, understanding a lot about all of the intricacies involved in that whole process of virtual assistants, picking people right, finding out what they're best suited for, and then obviously project management. So I'd like to have you back for a long format, and then we'll have it so that people can watch this after this introduction.
Thank you.
Joining us. We've been speaking with Anne Villavieja. She is the founder and director of Virtual Office Angels. You can check out their website at virtualofficeangels.com.au. Thanks very much for joining us today, and join us again sometime real soon.
Thanks.